Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 2 in the series here on Cloud Kingdom between HwangSin and Revival. Revival easily taking Game 1 with an early 10 pool, but then quickly swapped over to a very heavy economic game, and that was an actual beautiful head fake by Revival, as HwangSin ended up really investing very heavy into that front door wall instead of getting that Nexus first, and then Revival was able to take the economic lead with the earlier queens that he was able to train. Now we are moving on into Game 2. HwangSin is spawning as the red Protoss player on the bottom left-hand side of the map, as a probe is now making its way across the map. Revival is the blue Zerg on the top right, and it looks like Revival will be going with the much more traditional build this time around. Now, I believe HwangSin is going to come up, take a look, and see everything he needs to see, and then perhaps start with that Nexus first. This is one of the issues, or one of the things about Protoss versus Zerg, which is ever so interesting. This scouting probe has now made its way into its opponent's base, is going to take a quick look around, and then sweep back, perhaps making a way down over here to the natural expansion to see when exactly this particular Nexus or this particular hatchery will be placed down. Instead, you're going to actually see a spawning pool, but this probe doesn't know that, and every minute that this probe is away is essentially 40 minerals lost. So right now, Revival does have a definite economic advantage. You can see him at seeing that 15 over 15, 14 harvesters, or 15 harvesters, up until Revival is now going to be forced to push away this one particular probe. All right, the drone is doing a little bit of a dance, trying to take down this probe. The probe already down to 10 hit points, has to be very careful, and the drone is just going to back away and let this probe return home. The Nexus was the first building to be placed down, now followed up by that forge. And the key question will be, how many Zerglings will Revival be training? It looks like he will be training exactly 4, maybe even 6. He just needs the resources. And with those 6 Zerglings, he actually may be able to get inside here. The forge is a little bit delayed, and with that delay on the forge, the Zerglings may actually be able to poke in there and actually get in a little bit of damage. Remember, the forge is now done. Oh, what is this? You see another pylon here. We need to see enough resources for that photon cannon, and the photon cannon does take a while to warp in. 40 seconds. Will the Zerglings be able to make it across the map in time? I'm not quite sure. Don't know the mappings and how far Zerglings can travel in 40 seconds. Well, actually, I know how far Zerglings can travel in 40 seconds. I just don't know how far this really is. Zerglings may be able to slip by here, but a probe is going to be on hold position right here, and the Zerglings will only be able to attack one at a time. And oh, there is the pylon block. Beautifully done. HwangSin now very happy with his economic advantage, as he did establish up his Nexus first. What's the counter move to this? Revival now moving to take up a third base, and so far, HwangSin is not even looking into that location for a possible third. We can see that there is double assimilators here in the main base. No gas here yet at the natural, and I'm wondering whether or not we would see perhaps 2 base Immortal Sentry all in. That has been a very common strategy, but normally at this time, HwangSin is going to go ahead and try to scout out this third base to see if it's actually been placed down. If he sees this third base, then he knows that this is a bit of an economic game. If he doesn't see this third base, then he has to suspect that perhaps Revival wants to push through the front door with a lot of roaches. Back over here, we can still see a very sparse base inside HwangSin. So far, Stalkers being chrono boosted out, warp gate tech, nothing else being added, as we are now actually going into a Stargate. So this is not the 2 base Immortal Sentry all in that I thought. Instead, this is going to be Phoenix Harassment, and the Phoenix Harassment may or may not really prove to be that successful. Revival already taking the economic lead and then continuing to do so. He's training up 4 drones at a time. Meanwhile, all HwangSin can do is train up 2 probes at a time with chrono boost, but that is not going to really be able to help him catch up, as the third base of Revival is already operational, and with a couple key more injects, we will see about a 20 harvester discrepancy in the next minute or so. Stargate is being added, Are we going to be going into Phoenixes first? Yes, the Phoenix now already being trained up. Sentry is being added. Roach is being trained as we are now taking the tier 2. Drones currently mining away. We can see a 48 to 42 harvester advantage. A bit surprised. Oh, never mind. 13 drones. There's all the workers that I was wondering about, knowing that there'd be a whole bunch. You can see 44 to 56 now, with 5 more drones coming underway. More drones now just being transferred off over. You can see 19 drones here, and I believe, wow, actually, not even taking gas inside his main yet. So Revival has pretty much been sitting on one base gas. He is now taking 4 of his geysers all at the same time. So Revival should be able to get into very heavy tech now. The question is, what is his tech route going to be? All right, we also see a very fast fleet beacon. I'm not quite sure what to expect here. Are we going to perhaps be going into a mothership core or a mothership as a fast fleet beacon? Yes, this is going to be a very fast mothership instead. And this may actually catch his opponent off guard. Revival is not going to have the necessary detectors early on. And with now 3 gateways and also a robotics facility coming into play, this may actually spell a lot of problems. We can now see spore crawlers being trained, and right now spore crawlers would be a very strong choice if you were expecting to see Phoenix harassment. With only 1 Phoenix on the board, everything has really been pushed into this very aggressive mothership play. The mothership, about halfway done, needs a little bit more time, and the Phoenix is just going to simply fly around and get off some easy shots on some overlords here. You can take a look. There is an overlord now taking some damage. A queen is in position. The Phoenix now is deciding to back away, knowing that it can't really do all too much. There. Phoenix is now looking to pull back once more. We are going into an observer. Mothership core is about to be completed. We are also going into a robotics bay and a second robotics facility. So this could, in fact, be Mothership core with a whole bunch of Colossi. All right, double photon cannons now coming in as well. We can see Revival now looking to take up his 4th. And is HwangSin actually going to be able to catch Revival off guard? If there is a fight for about 20 seconds where one army can attack and the other cannot, that's more than enough to really spell the difference between victory and defeat. The problem is that HwangSin is still down by about 30 supply. Harvester count is 52 to 84, so even if he does establish up this 3rd base, we know that Revival is much more closer to saturating 4 bases than 3, especially with this 1 base now being established. All right, Infestors, Colossi, Warp Prism now being added, Spire being added as well, coming in from the Zerg. Could we be seeing the necessary Corruptors to deal with the Colossus, as we are also going into a Gravitic Drive with the Warp Prism, so this may actually be Colossus Harassment. Colossus Harassment, one of those strategies that you don't see very often, but is very effective, as the Warp Prism can move around that Colossus very quickly, and that Colossus just drops down, does a whole bunch of damage, and then gets picked back up almost immediately just to get dropped down again. Alright, Infestors are in position here. There are 6 Infestors, a whole bunch of Zerglings. Zerglings not going to be able to make it through, as we are now going into 2 more photon cannons. There are sentries off over here, and there is the force fields. Infestors may perhaps try to get in some damage. Are we perhaps going to see some more force fields come in? It looks as though the photon cannons, 1 will get taken down. A second one could get taken down as well. Here you have it, as the Mothership core now makes its way over and gonna start cloaking the buildings. Alright, this is gonna be interesting, as the Nexus is gonna be instantaneously saved, as the Zerglings will not be able to attack. Overseer is nearby. It is gonna be able to catch sight here. The Mothership now backing away, as the Zerglings now trying to make their way over. Some more force fields do come in, as more Infested Terrans now coming out. The Infested Terrans may actually deal some damage, as we now see a quick Vortex. Alright, Zealots now trying to get some damage off over here. What is going to be happening next to them? Probes. Infested Terrans now attempting to try to shoot down this one particular Mothership. Colossus is now making their way over. It's going to take down all of these infested Terrans, as the... Wow, very nicely played. Revival quickly burrowing and retreating with those Infestors. The Infestors do move slightly slower, but without an observer to keep track of them, Zealots don't really stand any chance. Revival now making a move over. We see 171 supply versus 116. This is not looking good at all, as we now see the as we now see all the units trying to retreat back down. Revival sitting on a huge supply advantage, 90 drones to 64 probes as well, so a huge economic advantage as we are now training up some additional overseers. Infestor Zergling now on the move. I believe Revival has essentially taken this game already. He just needs to seal the deal, and will be able to do so by taking down this Nexus and perhaps this pylon. Alright, we can see Mothership. Are we seeing... Oh, there is a building currently being warped in, but you can't tell that it's there. That's actually a very interesting play, as now the Mothership core will get taken down. Corruptors now going after Colossus, and this is just going to be the very end of a bad day for HwangSin, as HwangSin loses this game as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for Game 3.